The morning began with a silence so heavy it felt like it could break glass. Arif Mitchell stood in front of the mirror of his small apartment, tie hanging loose around his neck, eyes hollow from another sleepless night. Outside, the city was waking up with noise and ambition, but inside him there was only exhaustion, the kind that comes from loving someone more than yourself and still feeling like you are failing every single day. He was a CEO once, a man whose name opened doors, but today he was just a single father trying to survive another day without his wife, without rest, without certainty. And in just a few hours, one unexpected moment would quietly begin to change everything he believed about himself, love, and second chances. Before the story pulls you deeper, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet miracles that happen between broken people, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Arif's life had not always been this small. Years ago, he had built Mitchell Dynamics from the ground up, working nights, sacrificing weekends, dreaming big. He had done it all with his wife Emily by his side, her laughter filling the empty spaces his ambition left behind. Then cancer came like a thief in the dark, leaving him alone with a 6-year-old daughter named Lily and a heart that never quite learned how to beat the same way again. After Emily's death, success lost its shine. Boardrooms felt cold, awards meaningless. He stepped down from his own company, choosing stability over glory, becoming a senior consultant instead of the powerful CEO he once was. People whispered about his fall, but no one saw the nights he spent calming Lily's nightmares or packing her lunch with shaking hands because he still didn't know how to braid her hair properly. That morning, Lily had hugged him tightly before school, her small arms wrapping around his waist like she was afraid he might disappear too. Arif promised her he would be back early, a promise he hoped he could keep. He fumbled with his tie, fingers clumsy, mind somewhere between grief and responsibility. That was when his phone buzzed with a reminder about the emergency meeting at Crestview Corporation, a company now led by the youngest female CEO in the city, a woman known for her brilliance and icy professionalism. Her name was Evelyn Carter. Evelyn Carter did not believe in distractions. At 32, she had fought her way to the top of a ruthless industry, carrying the weight of expectations on her shoulders every day. She was admired, feared, and deeply lonely. Her world was made of glass offices, late nights, and quiet hotel rooms where success echoed too loudly. She had learned early that emotions were liabilities, especially for a woman who had to work twice as hard to be taken seriously. That morning, she walked into the conference room with her usual controlled confidence, but something about Arif caught her attention immediately. It wasn't his resume or his reputation. It was the way he stood slightly hunched, like a man carrying an invisible weight, and the way his tie sat crooked, as if he hadn't had the energy to fix it properly. As the meeting went on, charts and numbers filled the screen, but Evelyn found herself watching Arif instead. His insights were sharp, his mind still brilliant, yet there was a softness in him that felt out of place in that room. When the meeting ended and people began to leave, she noticed him still standing there, distracted, lost in thought. Without fully understanding why, she stepped closer and gently adjusted his tie, her fingers brushing the fabric with care that surprised even her. The moment was brief, almost invisible to anyone else, but for Arif it felt like someone had reached into his chest and reminded his heart how to feel. She leaned in slightly, her voice low and steady, teasing yet kind, warning him without words not to lose himself in a moment like this. It was not flirtation in the usual sense. It was something quieter, something human. From that day on, their paths crossed more often. Meetings turned into long conversations about work that slowly drifted into life. Arif never spoke much about his pain, but Evelyn noticed the way his eyes softened when his phone lit up with Lily's name. She noticed how he always checked the time, how guilt followed him like a shadow whenever work demanded more than he wanted to give. Slowly, without realizing it, she began to admire him not for what he had achieved, but for what he had endured. Arif, in turn, saw something in Evelyn that no one else seemed to notice. Beneath her composed exterior was a woman who had built walls so high she had forgotten what it felt like to be seen without judgment. Their connection grew in small, quiet moments. A shared coffee after a long day. A smile across a crowded room. The unspoken understanding when deadlines loomed and exhaustion set in. Arif struggled with his feelings, guilt gnawing at him every time he felt happiness creeping back into his life. Loving again felt like betrayal, like erasing Emily's memory. Some nights, he sat on the edge of his bed after Lily fell asleep, staring at old photos, wondering if he was allowed to want more than survival. Evelyn had her own battles. Letting someone close meant risking control, risking the carefully crafted image she had spent years protecting. She had learned the hard way that vulnerability could be used against you. The turning point came when Lily fell sick one evening, a fever burning through her small body. Arif panicked, missing an important presentation the next day. He expected disappointment, maybe even consequences. Instead, Evelyn showed up at the hospital with soup, a stuffed toy, and a quiet strength that filled the sterile room with warmth. She didn't ask questions. She didn't judge. She simply stayed. Watching her sit beside Lily's bed, gently brushing hair away from her forehead, something inside Arif finally broke open. He realized that love did not replace what was lost. It simply grew around it. Life did not suddenly become perfect. There were setbacks, misunderstandings, moments when fear almost won. Arif had to learn to forgive himself for surviving. Evelyn had to learn that strength did not mean standing alone. Together, they began to build something fragile but real, rooted in patience and understanding rather than grand gestures. Lily, with her quiet wisdom, became the bridge between their worlds, her laughter filling spaces that once echoed with loneliness. As time passed, Arif found confidence returning, not as the ambitious CEO he once was, but as a man grounded in purpose. Evelyn discovered that leadership could coexist with tenderness, that love did not weaken her, but sharpened her clarity. They never rushed their story, knowing that some things deserve time. If this story is touching your heart, if it reminds you that even broken beginnings can lead to beautiful endings, please take a moment near the end of this video to like, share, and comment. Your engagement helps these stories reach others who might be silently struggling, and just before this story closes, we ask you one special thing. Comment below and tell us whether you believe that love can find you again when you least expect it, even after loss, even after heartbreak. In the end, it was never about a tie being fixed or a powerful title being reclaimed. It was about two people learning to see each other beyond their wounds. It was about a single father realizing that moving forward did not mean forgetting, and a woman discovering that strength could look like softness. And somewhere between late-night hospital lights and quiet office corridors, hope found its way back into their lives, proving that sometimes, the smallest gestures carry the power to change everything.